Okay, all right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another hashtag Dad Life Dad Chat. Really excited about today. Last week was our first episode, and it was pretty dope, pretty good. Had some really great, interesting conversations just about what it felt like to become a dad, but also had some really cool conversations with the girls, as always. And so before I pull up the girls to join us, I'm going to read a quick piece or so. So those of you who know, my name is Luther D. Isler, artistically known as the artist Anubis, and along with being a father of two for 8 and 10 years, I'm also a creative writer. So you may be familiar with my hashtag Dad Life posts and stories with the Isla sisters. So that's what this chat kind of comes out of. But also, what came out of that is a book that I'm working on. It's a series of poems inspired by these conversations. And I'm going to open up today's conversation by reading one of those pieces. So this one is a two-part piece. It's called Passing Aggression. So about a couple of years ago, Lexi said, I need a favor from somebody. Now, I'm the only person in the house, so I'm wondering why she doesn't just ask me for a favor. She says, Daddy, can you do me a favor? So I'm like, okay. But then I'm just thinking, I used to put that on her mom, the whole passive aggressive thing. Why not just ask me for help instead of just looking in an empty room when I'm the only one there and just saying, can somebody help me? Just say, Daddy, can you help me? Uh, so first, I wasn't going to touch this. But then I wrote, why not ask me a question directly? Why not say exactly what you have to say? Why are you this way? How are you not old enough to spell? How are you not old enough to spell social media and you're already throwing subs? What do you want, little woman? Don't you know I would do anything in the world for you and all you have to do is ask? You're so Beyonce, but don't know how to say my name. I used to think this was an anomaly, something unique to the oven you were baked in, some feminine aversion to speaking explicitly. Is it so important to you that I volunteer for a task I don't even know needs a volunteer? That you rather set up an alley-oop rather than an easy dunk? I suppose this lets your mother off the hook. This is apparently bigger than either of you, and your little sister will be this way too. So I'll volunteer to lose my sanity and win your admiration when I hear I need a favor from somebody. I will jump up from my chair, cape around my neck, fists on my hips, and declare, never fear, I am here. How may I serve you, my dear? Thank you. So, speaking of these dears who rather ask favors of the wind than ask me directly, let me bring up the precious and precocious Lexi and Lynn. Hey, baby girls.
Hey, hi.
You like the poem?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lexi didn't like it because it's about her.
No, I said I liked it.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Good. Are you comfortable?
No, because she keeps putting her leg on me.
Okay. Lexi, are you comfortable?
Yes.
No, I bet. I bet. So what have you guys been up to lately?
So yesterday, we came to our father's house in New Jersey. And my favorite part about that was fancy train.
Was what?
The fancy train.
Oh, I thought you said fancy tree. What's so fancy about the train?
There, you know how you have regular trains. On this train, you have a bottom floor and a top floor. And not just that, but your seats go this way and that way. And that way. No, it's just that way. Oh. So this way and that way. So it's in and out.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, so today, right, I always ask you guys, what do you guys want to talk about, right? Okay. So what do we want to talk about? Let's talk. I think Lexi, you want to talk about you have pet peeves.
Yeah.
Are you guys shaking the computer?
Yes, Ashton's shaking the thing that's standing it.
Okay, don't do that. All right. So Lexi, let's talk about your pet peeve. So first of all, what is a pet peeve?
A pet peeve. I think it's a little thing that just bothers you.
You tell me.
I think
Okay. So what are the little things that bother you? Did you make a list of your pet peeves?
I don't really know, but I really know by heart because
Okay. I'm about to say this was your idea.
I don't really know if this is a pet peeve,
Well,
but
is it a little thing that bothers you? Okay. Hold on. Look at your sister.
because she knows it's gonna be about her.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead.
My little sister, every time we have like I think noodles or soup, all I hear and it just really annoys me. I'm like, why can't you eat it regular? Why can't you just like you do with regular food? But when it's hot, sometimes you have to do that. Next.
Okay. What's the next? Well, I guess you could blow on it first. It was because it's hot. All right. Nope. Never mind. Okay.
Next. Another pet peeve. Oh, I think it's kind of me, like my body, like the way it goes. Like sometimes I'm just standing and out of nowhere, I'm just like, I don't know if I'm shocked or something, but it really annoys me. It happens like
Like
sometimes a day.
like when you get a shiver.
No, it just happens in the middle of the day. I don't know what's happening, but I'm just like, and it just, I don't know what happens.
Okay. That's a
And then,
pet peeve. I guess it's a little thing that annoys you.
huh?
I said, I guess that's a pet peeve. It's a little thing that annoys you.
Yeah.
What else? Is that it?
More?
Huh?
Oh, I do have one more.
Okay. I'm asking you. If you don't have more, then that's it. What else?
My last pet peeve. When me and my little sister fight about tiny little things. Like we were on the bus and Daddy said, put the bag on your lap. So I gave it to Lynn and I said, put this on your lap. And then I was like, no, I don't want to put this on my lap. And I did not know we were going to fight about that at all. And we didn't even fight. She said, put this bag on their lap. Daddy said, put this bag on your lap. She said, I want to put this bag on your lap. I said, no, you told me to put the bag on your lap. So I'm putting the bag on my lap. And she's like, wow. No. It's not even a fight. Ashley. Like, not even a fight, but like fussing about tiny little things. That's not even fussing. All I said, Ashley, was I want the bag on my lap. Because that bus was cold. They know what that means. They know what I'm talking
Lynn, do you have any pet peeves?
about. Yes, I do.
Okay. What are your pet peeves?
When my sister lies to a camera. Oh, so I'm lying? That wasn't fussing? We weren't even fighting or fussing. Fighting or fussing, none of that happened. It keeps stopping. We were arguing. We weren't doing any of that, okay? And
Okay.
another of mine.
You have another one?
I don't know. Yes. What
Okay.
another pet peeve is when my friends leave me out.
Okay.
So I have two friends. I'm not gonna say their names.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
They played together. They weren't even friends at the beginning of the school year. They played together, and because they were both friends. They became friends, and I was their friend. They would leave me out all the time.
All the time?
But all the time. And I would tell my teachers, and they would talk to them, and they would still do the same thing.
Oh.
But now
Do you
that
ever
we're on quarantine, I am glad that we are on quarantine.
Wow.
I have both of their numbers, so I can call them. They ask me for their number, and I say no. I don't want that to happen to me anymore.
Okay.
Treated unfairly.
Do you always include everybody?
Not always, but then I would include somebody, and then the next day include the other person.
Then you're not including everybody. You're always leaving someone else out.
No, how? Because I'm giving them a chance the next day.
Do you feel like maybe that's what they're doing? They're giving you a chance different days?
They don't give me a chance at all.
Okay, all right. I was really asking. I don't know. All right. Do you guys think that if you guys had to guess, what would you say your dad's pet peeves are? What are my pet peeves? Do I have any pet peeves that you think I have?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm still thinking about mine. You say yours. I said I think. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Is it anything like I always say bothers me or something like that? That I always say like, I don't know. Maybe I don't. I don't know.
I don't know. Say yours.
I don't know. I was asking you if you think I had some.
No.
Okay, cool. That's great. Wonderful. I'm sure I do, but I gotta think about it. All right. Well, Lynn, I know you wanted to talk about makeup.
Yes. I just want to give a little shout out to my auntie Lala, because if she never gave me makeup brushes, eyeshadow palette for my birthday, I would have never had makeup. I understand that I have a tiny bit of makeup, and that's all I have, eyeshadow and makeup brushes. But I am thankful because I love makeup. Even
Hold on, Lexi.
makeup to look
Lexi.
pretty because
Wait,
you're
hold on. Lexi, what are you doing?
making a bow tie out of her phone.
But you put your hand down like you doing something crazy. Put your phone down. All right, go ahead, Lynn.
What was I saying again?
Makeup brushes, you have a little bit. Thank you to Lala.
Oh, yeah. And if it was not for her, I would not be included to makeup. And I know such a little bit of makeup. But you should be thankful that you have makeup. You don't need makeup because you're beautiful without it. And some of your daughters might be interested in makeup one day. You are into makeup, kind of. Into makeup one day. And yeah, even if they're not even a girly girl, my sister is not a girly girl at all. But she likes makeup. And yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
I have nothing to speak about that.
Well, why do you, and I think it was great that you said that you don't need makeup, but it's good to have makeup. So explain that to me. So why is it you don't need makeup, and then why is it that it's good to have it?
You don't need makeup because your face is beautiful. Your natural face is beautiful all the time. What you can have makeup. If you want to, you can have makeup. You shouldn't have a lot of makeup because your face, like I said, is beautiful naturally. But if you want a lot of makeup, you can have a lot of makeup. But I, of course, as a child, do not need a lot of makeup. And you think you do?
That sounds very wise of you. So when do you get to wear makeup?
Well, in the house. Well, on my auntie Lala, she has like this makeup Zoom, but like she's been saying that they didn't have it anymore. But she has this Zoom, and some of her other friends, they have a makeup Zoom over quarantine, and we would do makeup. So I did makeup over the Zoom twice, and after that, they didn't have it again. We didn't do it.
Well, okay. What do you like about makeup
With my friend, her name is Kaylee. That's one of the friends that like went out.
that you're not going to mention? I got it. Okay.
um, we were on the phone the other day, and she wanted to do makeup over the phone,
and I did
and
it too. And
we did makeup over both of them. And then we looked about celebrities that have the same birthday as us, but not getting out of the conversation. But yes, you do not need makeup at all.
I did my own makeup, and I look better than them.
Do you guys do each other's makeup?
No.
And I do not let her touch my face with makeup at all.
Yes, you did. One time I drew a cat on her face.
Only because we were doing the pause challenge.
Yeah, we were doing the pause challenge.
You doing what?
The pause challenge.
Okay, what's that?
So you take a remote
or something or whatever you got,
and you say, you point it to a person, and like
you could do whatever.
You could press it, and you'll say pause.
And the person has to pause. You could do something to them. You could just make them pause.
And all right, so you pointed at Lexi, you said pause, and while she was frozen, you put a cat makeup on her.
And it looked really bad. She had a cross on her forehead, a line down her nose, whiskers. Eye as whiskers, but sideways eyes. Like eye, like Isler eye.
Oh, no, not an I, but the letter I?
Yes, I was confused.
Why did you put the letter I on her?
It was whiskers. Whiskers are straight lines, and I wanted to have a little makeover and make her look crazy. And then
I made
her and sent it to her homie.
Wait, no, you didn't.
Her friend. Her homie.
Okay. So Lexi, how do you feel about makeup?
It's okay.
She likes it.
It's okay.
Well, I know you guys wear it where you guys do performances.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because our last performances with our dance group, it's called Push. We did a lot of orphanage shows, so we had to wear like messed up, beat up makeup,
black, red, no other colors.
It was just boring makeup, like really bad. But like it wasn't like eyeshadow and
if it was eyeshadow, it would have been a black eye
and
not
blush.
Really,
no,
pretty,
not
pretty. No.
Now you guys use makeup when you guys dance with Palm.
We do. Oh yes, but that's just
we barely put makeup.
Yeah, we just a little foundation and some lip gloss.
You guys do like glitter, right?
No.
Oh, that's for the baby shark thingy.
That is sequins, actually.
Excuse me.
No, like you put like glitter makeup on your face.
No.
Sequins is on clothes.
Well, they put sequins on our face, and it was really hard to get off.
Oh, okay, all right.
And our other dance group, it's called Belly Dance, but it's called Palm. We call it Belly Dance.
It's a dance group.
It's belly dance, so it's dance, basically.
Okay. It's dance, so it's dance.
It's belly dance.
Is that the first time you guys what's the first time you guys remember wearing makeup?
Palm. In Palm shows.
Of course.
Why is it so hard?
I've been there first. She's been there since she was 2, right?
Yeah, something like that. And I think you joined when you were like 2 or something like that.
You get your leg off of me. And this is what I live with. I actually don't know the only last time I remember us wearing makeup for a prom show is we did
baby shark thingy.
a baby shark show. It was so cute.
No.
It was so cute.
Yeah, you guys did your own choreography for that, right?
Yep. Well, our own choreography and Kalima's choreography. Kalima?
Yes, you guys have a lot of women you mentioned in this. You know, you have Auntie Lala you mentioned Kalima, and of course Pam is
That's not a
huh?
woman.
Oh yeah.
What?
She said Kaylee, but she's not.
Oh, okay. All right. And Palm is led by Miss Sammy and Miss Jeannie. Do you feel like who is like the most influential, I guess, for each of you about how you think about makeup? Who has influenced you the most about the way you think about makeup?
Auntie Lala.
Okay. How?
Because she's the one, she taught us everything. Like the mascara goes there, you rub it in the lids.
We never use mascara.
Not mascara. The eyeshadow goes here, you rub it in the lids. Like she's been telling us the steps.
No, but
ever
like
since
how
the
did
first
she
day.
force you like? I don't
Not force, but like influence, like inspire you, like make you give you the idea about how you think about makeup.
Make me want to do it more. I don't know, actually.
Oh, that's not exactly what I meant. Lexi, anyone influence you about the way you think about makeup?
Nah.
Okay.
I just like it. It's okay. It's alright.
It's all right. Cool. Well, I'm glad you guys have a real understanding that you don't need makeup and you're already beautiful. So that's important to me. That's all matters to me. So I'm glad. Who taught you guys that? Or how'd you guys learn that? Or how'd you come to that understanding?
Cause my mom, she wears makeup for pictures all the time.
There's no picture that she does not have makeup on.
And I'm like, and I did TikTok. I have makeup, and I did you beautiful with makeup, without makeup, with effects, without effects. So I'm like, my mom wears makeup all the time. Like, why is she wearing makeup all the time? Like, she does not wear makeup without. She does not wear. She wears makeup all the time for a picture. All the time.
Just for a picture that she might not even send to anybody.
So then I'm like, you're beautiful
just
without
put
makeup.
on her phone.
You do not need makeup. You should not be wearing this much makeup. Just a little foundation, mascara, lip gloss, and that's it. But she want to go all eyeshadow, blush, and everything. So I'm like, you don't need makeup. You do not need it. You get beautiful without it. And I tell her this like almost every day. But she still continues to wear makeup.
Cool. All right. I kind of feel like that was a pet peeve, Jen. All right. So,
that's big. That's not little.
All right. So thank you for this talk about pet peeves and makeup. I'm gonna call you guys back in a few minutes. All right, guys.
Yes, sir.
I love you guys. So that was Lexi and Lynn's pet peeves and thoughts about makeup. I kind of feel like they might have gotten me in trouble in that last part. So we'll see what happens. So next up, I'm gonna call some fathers, 'cause that's the other part of the dad chat is chatting with dads. Now, today's dads that I'm having joining us, both are girl dads. They have daughters, and maybe they share in my pain, in my struggle and enjoyment of that. So first up, I have Keith Lilley. If you do not know him, he is one of the titans in the community, a district leader in East Harlem. Thanks for joining us. And then I have my homeboy, another cultural curator, Tonii Two Eyes. Thanks for
Hey,
joining
hey,
us. Thanks for joining me. So
what's up?
I'm sure you guys caught some of the fun that I have with those girls, right?
Yeah, you in trouble. You in trouble.
Yeah,
Sounds familiar.
they killed me at the end.
No.
Oh man. Oh, I was not ready. My phone is gonna go off in a few minutes. So uh, this has been my last episode of Dad Chat. Oh man.
It was a great chat,
Oh,
though. Brought back
they're
flashbacks
honest.
for me. Yeah.
Yes. Tony, you have daughters that almost are just older than mine. Mine's are 8 and 10. Yours are 10 and 12, right?
10 and 12, yeah, that's right.
How are they with the whole makeup thing right now?
So I just texted them and I was like, yeah, we're talking about makeup. I know you guys will have a lot to say about that. They're just like your daughters. There's opposite sides. So, well, your daughters both because of the activities that they're in, they have makeup. But my youngest daughter does not like makeup, and my oldest daughter has a love for it. Like she wants to explore it. Of course, it was kind of restricted, but there has been some dibble dabble in makeup. But my youngest, she doesn't like to get her feet done and all that stuff, get it painted. And then my oldest, she's like, when can we go get them painted? So yeah, so it's a conversation, and we always have said things about like it's not necessary, just so that they understand that
Yeah, no, I'm glad that they got that. I mean, you can say it all you want, but it depends on what they're inspired by.
exactly.
Now, Keith, you've been a father longer than we have, twice as long as us, really.
Yes.
How is your makeup situation with your daughter?
So it's interesting. Growing up, she wasn't into makeup like that. The nails, yes. The lip gloss, definitely. It wasn't until she graduated from high school that I saw the full-blown makeup. And it was like, oh wow, it was a whole nother look. I was shocked. And she was beautiful, but she's not into the makeup like that. She's definitely always been into the nails. And it's funny, Lynn mentioned about her aunt, because there's always that aunt, that one person that influences that. I'm a single dad. I raised my daughter here in my household, so I couldn't, there's no connection with the girly girl stuff and us as fathers. So it's always that aunt or someone, friend of her mother's, that influenced that makeup and nails, and I was happy for it. But Kiana wasn't too much into makeup early on.
Yeah, man. So when Kobe passed, one of the cool things is people, they quoted him referencing himself as a girl dad, which has been pretty cool. And that's, for all intents and purposes, that's what we all are, dads with girls. It is probably one of the most interesting things. I know my boys, like my bros and all, when they found out I was having a girl, they were like, uh-oh, you about to get it for whatever your past lives were. So we'll see.
That is so true. That's true.
Yeah, man.
I'm feeling it now. My daughter's 20, and oh my God, I've been feeling it ever since. It
really makes you rethink about a couple of things.
Right.
Yep.
It gives you a new perspective. I know what I guess the question is, in what ways do we, I imagine, people say like, oh, would you want your daughter to be with somebody like you, for example? To which I've always easily answered, the best version of me, yeah. So what is it that we've done, and for you do, what you guys done to kind of proof them against the worst version of you, I suppose?
So I'll start, Tony, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So for me, raising my daughter and being in the situation where she lived with me, I never having a bunch of girlfriends, so to speak. I never allowed girls to come over to my house in her presence, even though I had maybe different girls. And because I didn't want to have that, I didn't want her to think that it was okay to have multiple boyfriends or girlfriends. For her to see her father having different girls, I didn't want her to have a boyfriend later on in life or whatever and say, oh, it's okay to have multiple girlfriends. So I never allow girlfriends to come to my house and sort of see that. And I wanted to sort of influence that it's not okay for guys to have different girlfriends. And if and when you have a boyfriend, you can emulate your dad and say, well, my father never happened. I'm not going to tolerate you as my boyfriend or friend to be having multiple friends, including me. My father wasn't like that. I didn't grow up like that, seeing him. So that's sort of the influence that I try to from that perspective, obviously with a lot of other stuff going on, but yeah, that was one of the major things for me, being a single dad.
Yeah. Now, for me, as you know, I was in my children's life pretty much from zero up until recently, which now they're in Florida, I'm in New York, and far as my influence on them now is kind of very limited because of the other half that went into creating them. Um, but it's when we were in the house and everything, I always tried to be the example. So not concentrate on who I was, because I basically got married at 19. So I was
Wow.
always the committed type. So I wasn't like one of those people that went out and I didn't actually lose my virginity until 18. So I didn't really have much of that, that life of out there being a dog or anything like that. So I just basically concentrated on, being the example, letting that respect be seen, you know, um, and also putting in, into their minds that basically the relationship between any boy that wants to be in your life and my relationship with them is important. So it's not something that you just have secretly, it's on your own, but it's something that I'm involved in as well. So I want to meet, oh, you're talking about boyfriends right now? Let me meet the little 8-year-old. And I will go to the classroom and meet him. Hey, what's up? And then I'll be like, oh, he's cool. What is his grades like? He's not he doesn't he's a class clown. That's not, I'm not a class clown. Like I'm at Columbia University right now because I wasn't playing around in school, and that's what you want. You don't want the class clown, because the only thing that's going to end up is with a life of struggle. So I would always make that precedence at the tender age of 8, or 7, when they start talking about boyfriends or they like me, and so I always I'm involved in that process, in that exploration.
We're just now like officially hitting that phase over here, and much like you guys, I'm up until 6 months ago, I lived with my children, been separate physically for 6 months now, longer than that emotionally. But we one of the things I've maintained is just literally, I call it just dating my daughter. Last not the past Valentine's Day, but the previous one, I made them a candlelit dinner. My aim has always been, I guess, to as much as possible be the baseline for them.
Exactly.
Although sometimes I feel bad for whoever actually pursues them, because
They on right.
they can't be the way that I am with them. And I'm wrapped up around their fingers pretty much. But I always try to keep that in mind, making sure, and I kind of learned from my past failures, in my own relationship, making sure that they feel heard, and things of that nature. And I'm always trying to like be so much so that becomes this is what they expect, you know.
Mhm.
Kind of to your point, Keith. Like this is the example that I see. This is where I expect, even not getting, you know, being with their mother, even always visibly dealing with her in a way that says this is how I should expect to be dealt with. Um, so I mean, it's an interesting, very conscious task, I guess, to
Mhm.
think about it. But it's very
It
interesting.
is. And I think it's something that you know, as they get older, then it it starts, you feel this change in them where they start looking at you and they start asking questions, you know, especially when I was in the relationship. So they would ask questions about me and mommy, like, what would you do if she did this? You know, what would you do if she did this? And it's kind of like little probes, you know, they're trying to
Mhm.
figure out the relationship between man and woman. And and so, you know, it's always at that point now it's conscious, you know, you gotta, you have to be aware of all the things that you do, you know, even with lying, you know, like you have a standard, and it's not just like, I don't see it as just like a man in their life, but as their parent as well, like to set that standard of morals and goals, like no lying, because lying is integrity. So no matter what you choose, like you should have that in your life, and trying to be that example so they can't say, and if I say I'm going to do something, do that, because a lot of I experienced that with my father as far as the empty promises, and it over and over and over again. You know, it's not a bash for him; he was there, but he did give me some empty promises before, throughout my childhood, and that hurt, you know, more than anything else. So I try to protect that, the integrity between me and my daughters, because that matters so much, you know, even with what I was talking about, them feeling comfortable with allowing me to be part of that
Right.
selection of a spouse. You know, if you don't have any integrity, then they're not going to take that serious, you know.
Yeah. My daughter's mother and I, we started talking about it because it's just started to rise up, and we definitely are on the same page that we want them to be able to communicate with us. I even agreed, if it came to it that they didn't feel comfortable talking to me, I was like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna play bad guy since we have a good communication. So I'll be bad guy so that they'll talk to you and then you just talk to me. So it was a whole plot situation. So I'm like, and they're like, Daddy, I gotta talk. Mommy, I gotta talk to you. Okay, talk to Daddy. And then me and Mommy be like trading on the background, like, all right, cool, this is what we got. But
Yeah.
I mean, we're just now. So I'm behind you guys both on that. Keith, you're significantly ahead of us on that. How did you? And what advice would you give us in terms of dealing with the whole beginning of dating phases and interests with our daughters?
Well, you know, I want to touch on something before that. It's very, very important that the communication between mom and pops, because kids are smart. They know
Mm-hmm.
how to manipulate. All the time, my daughter would come to me, and then if I don't approve something, she would go to her mother. She'll get it approved, or vice versa. So until we got on the same page, where she couldn't do that any longer, that got shut down. So
Well,
that's a good point. That communication, however the relationship is, raising your kids, you got to have that so that they'll begin to see where their strengths is at and who they can manipulate the best to get what they want done. And Kiana was great at that in the beginning, but um, she's good now. She's been good for some years now. So the relationship part, thank God my daughter, you know, and I want to touch on something Tony mentioned, that I can honestly say my daughter has if she's lied to me, I didn't feel it. I didn't get it. I didn't see, you know what I'm saying? You know how somebody lie, you like, oh, you lying. My daughter was never like that truth. And she's no angel, trust me. But but she wouldn't lie to me. And if she did, it was because she was following somebody else. You know, these kids, they have these trends sometimes they follow something on YouTube and wanna and when they get busted, you know, it's a whole nother story. So I'm not at that point of the relationship. My daughter is very focused in school. She goes to Cleveland Institute of Music. She sings opera, 3 languages.
Nice.
And so she's not there yet. She has a lot of friends. She's very popular. My proud moment with her, she's focused. My proud moment came just the other day. She called, her school is predominantly white. She called the task, the president and the dean of the school, to make a change because of what's going on currently with Black Lives Matter, the death of George Floyd. And I was sitting on the couch and she was on this Zoom thing, and she had a conversation about how, you know, her school, her and a few other Black students, about maybe 5% compared to the white students at the school. And I was so proud. You know, me and you are in the political world. And so to see her make a stance to the president of the school and the deans was I was like, wow, that was a proud moment for me. And I'm just so happy that she's not there yet in terms of the relationship stuff, and that she's entirely focusing on school right now.
So you got to 20 and you never dealt with any relationship stuff before?
Nope.
In high school?
No high school, none. Nope. I knock on wood. Knock on wood.
You saved the bullets in the shotgun.
Yeah.
Like how?
They rust. The gun is rusty. it's so I'm so happy. You know,
wow.
I went to the prom with this guy for high school. Wasn't nothing serious. You know, he took her. When she did you guys are going to get this they do this cotillions, and where they come of age, so to speak. They dance and they sing and do whatever, and they have a friend that dance with them and all that, but it was nothing serious. So I passed that one. Thank yeah.
Yo, that in this day and age, that's big. Like
no, it is big because some of these little girls are really fast, and it's unfortunate. I had a friend, his daughter, he was going through it like totally. At 15, she was promiscuous, and it was crazy. And it was hurting him so bad because she would run away, you know, and he confided in me, and it was just heartbreaking. And to your point, Tony, that, you know, you dodge a bullet when our daughters are not at that stage, when there's so many daughters out there that are. And I don't know if it's because of the absence of the father. In this case, the father was in her life, but not that much.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so.
Well, that brings up the last thing I wanted to ask on that, and I don't want to spend too much time because I want to shift, but I did want to ask, and I guess you might have answered it already, but I did want to ask, do you feel like there was something particularly different that you did versus he did that kind of helped keep where their focus is? Because that's really what we're talking about. I mean, people want to do what they want to do, but the question, and our job as parents, is to highlight what the focus is. So you feel like, is there anything you feel like you did particular that helped maintain the focus? I know that I had this, and I'll tell you this one quick. I had this quick conversation with my 8-year-old, and she was like having conversations about like having kids, stuff like that. Nothing serious or scary, you know, talking about like, oh, when I have a baby, I'm gonna name him this type of stuff, whatever, right? And then I don't know how the conversation led to this, but I said, well, just I said, finish school first, then get married, then have kids. And then she asked me, she said, well, is that the order you guys did things? And I had to say, well, no, and that's why I can tell you that. Daddy still has to finish school. Mom finished school after you were born. So if we would have finished school first, before we got married, then had kids, then we would have been where we are now, and I would have finished school. So she was able to say, okay, cool, I get it. School first, you know. So yeah. So that was my attempt at keeping the focus. But is there anything you feel like from knowing your experience and your friend's experience that you can also like pinpoint, you feel like made a big difference in the focus?
For me, to your point right there with school. You know, I made sure I took her to school. I made sure I was involved in the parent, teacher, principal, whatever was going on. I just kept her focused. I was strict. Um, not not extremely strict, but strict enough for her to say, I can't wait to go to college, get out this house, get away from you and mom or whoever. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I just stayed in her life. I just made sure and I was focused. I'm not the greatest talker. Me and her be texting. She be calling me the Texan dad sometimes, but um, I was just involved. As long as you stay involved, whatever they doing, I kept, these kids, your kids probably got phones now too. At that age, when my daughter was that age, she had phones, I think at third grade. So you stay in the phone, you see what's going on, the conversations. If anything seems to go sideways, you intervene.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that I was able to stay close and involved. Like you, Luther, I took my daughter to work all the time because our jobs allowed us to do that, and they had fun doing it, coming to work, playing, running. My old office is Luther new office.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and just staying involved, I keep them on Facebook. And for me, as a single dad, the advantage I had with Facebook, and I'll cut it short so Tonii can elaborate, is I kept my daughter involved in Facebook with my friends because I didn't have all the answers. And I know there was a lot of folks on Facebook, I didn't have IG back then, that will help me pretty much raise my daughter because they had answers I didn't have. And so it was good for me, this whole experience. And I'm the point is just stay in their lives. That's it. I think you navigate, sometimes you got to be a little bit more stricter than most, but believe me, at the end, there'll be a positive result.
Yeah. One of the things I just wanted to touch on, like me right now and where I'm at in my position, I'm only pretty much in the phone because they moved to Florida unexpectedly, and so and communication between me and their mom is not healthy, is not happening, and so it's kind of like everything is through text messages, or I just recently got ability to video chat with them, and so
But
that helps out a little bit. But far as like it's on, because there's also conflict with that, like monitoring of the communication that we have, like I'm limited on what I can say and do. Because if we talk about something that's uncomfortable, they've been told to just kind of turn off, don't call them back later or whatever. And so there's really no in-depth far as parenting that I can do. So the only thing I can do is check and see how they're doing every day. They have phones, as you mentioned, and so it's like it's a real adjustment right now because I have been there since zero to last year or 2018, well, actually last year 2019, and so now it's just like totally removed. Now I'm having to change my style of fathering, like, because I was a strict like, yo, what is your grades? No, you can't do this, you can't do that until your grade. This is the standard. If
right.
you don't meet this standard, nothing fun happens, And so right now I can't do any of that disciplinary stuff. And so grades slip and I'm like, oh, okay, well, get it up, give it a good try. you know, um, uh, uh, I'm disappointed in you, hashtag dad, hashtag disappointed dad.
Right.
But this is something that is a reality, and I think it really sucks on there, and I don't know how this is going to actually come out on the other end, because it doesn't seem like how I say it, and I'm a poet as well as like Anubis, so I phrase it that basically a dad has a place in a child but especially a girl's life and heart. And if it's not filled properly or filled at all, then there is something totally missing that they will try to seek in everything else in life to try to fill it, to always come up short. And so, and these are things that help them process life and help them understand life better. And so right now I'm dealing with like because I'm limited. And then the other thing is that parenting is a team job. A dad, I mean, you were able to do it. I don't know, I don't have the backstory of the mom, Keith, but you were a single dad, so you were able to do that alone. But right now I'm facing like, I'm in their life, but I can't be a complete father without a partner like encouraging that. If you are against me being a father like I want to be, I can't do it without it. And so I'm like hands tied behind my back. But that's some of the things that I'm dealing with. And I know that's a whole different show. But I just wanted to because he brought it up, and
Yeah.
Just for where I am right now.
Yeah.
I can tell you where I've been and what I established in their life. And
Guys,
that's
let me
some of the
just
things
go
that
open up the
I'm
door.
holding
Give me a
on.
second.
Mm-hmm.
And
So I want to get ready to switch to a slightly different thing, but to that I do, and listening and hearing everything. The good thing is, from what I'm hearing, you're doing as much as you can, and I feel like they notice that. I feel like they get that. And the difference is, we hear stories about our about peers and different things, and it ends up being when kids do not feel like their father's doing the best that they can. And I think that goes a long way. So to that, I'm gonna make a segue, which is not really a clean segue, but as much as I can. So this is towards the end of our show, so thank you very much for joining me for this. Definitely inspiring me on another episode I need to do where we really talk about, I'll probably talk with fathers who are really struggling to be fathers. But
Good
the last
topic.
part of my show is I like to let the girls ask us questions. So let me pull them back up.
Question time.
Yeah, did I do it? All right, now I said this last time, and I'm gonna say it every time.
Lexi.
I have no idea what their questions are. So let's see. Well, first of all, before you guys go to questions, do you guys have any thoughts about anything we talked about, like daddy-daughter time or anything like that?
No. Wait, what? No.
Okay. You guys ready for your questions?
Yeah. Yes.
Are you ready to ask your questions?
Yes. And I also have picture.
What's the picture? That's of your. Okay. Oh, great. Nice.
Okay, so the first question goes to Mr. Keith.
Okay.
Have you ever thought your kid would do something? But wait.
You thought your kid wouldn't do something, but they have done it.
Wouldn't do something but did anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did. So when Kiana was in junior high school, there was you guys know about challenges. So there was a challenge that the kids in the junior high school took, which was they like burned themselves on their on their hand. And all these kids, it was about 15 of them, all the parents had to come in. I had no clue what this is about. They called, the principal called us in and was like, yo, your child did this challenge and they burnt themselves. I was like, what? And that's absolutely something I never thought Kiana would have done at all. And that wasn't a proud moment for me, but it was something she shouldn't have done. And in addition to burning herself, she got a spanking because that was something she shouldn't have done. And I know you guys, kids in general, like to do challenges. Just make sure all challenges are safe. and they're not something that would harm you or other people. Did that answer your question, guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, the next question goes to Mr. Tommy. What?
Tony?
Tony. I'm sorry. When your kids or kid does something,
what is your approach or how do you handle it? Sorry.
Like does something like
Oh,
what?
I didn't hear. Say it again.
When your kid or kids do something, what is your approach or how do you handle it?
Okay, good question.
Little journalist.
I put them in a closet and lock the door. I'm just kidding. No,
You see your face?
my father, I use the approach that my dad did for me, and that is questioning, like we all know what's right and wrong, and he would always say, "Do the right thing because you know it's right." And so that would be the first question. If they do something wrong, did you do the right thing because you know it was right? No? Okay, why? And so then we go through these series of questions to figure out what their brain was going through in order to do the wrong thing. And then he would say, "So what is your punishment?" And I would have to create my own punishment. So I do something of that nature because it's one thing, like if it's something like how Keith said, if it's something that could produce a harm to yourself or to others, like I nip that in the butt with spanking. That if it's lying to me that can harm you in the future or it can harm someone else, I spank. If it's stealing, I spank. But far as other things, I still try to talk and try to have that communication, rather than just reacting with pain, so that they can basically process why they're doing something wrong rather than just being told that it's wrong, and come to their own conclusion of what penalty they should get.
Now I have one last question for all the dads because I couldn't make one for my dad because that was kind of hard. So I have one for all the dads, and you can like.
Well, I could just answer the one that you came up with for all of them.
And like you can take turns sharing.
Okay, your show. Your
Yeah,
show.
their show.
You can take turns answering this question. All right.
Okay.
Are something
your kid or kids?
Oh, wait, what? Oh no, sorry. What are some things your kid or kids do when they want to take over their own life? Their own life. Like they want to do what they want to do.
What are you getting these questions from? What is something your
Very
kid
good.
Great
does
question.
when they want to
Good
take over their own
question.
life?
Yes.
She came up with it. I didn't
It's a good question. So you know what? We'll let Keith start this one since he's the furthest along on this journey anyway.
His daughter has taken over her own life.
Yeah.
Right. So say the question one more time so I can give a accurate answer.
What are some things your kid or kids do when they want to take over their own lives? Their own life or lives or whatever you call it.
Trying to see how to rephrase that.
Keith, did you freeze over there?
Are you over
What
there?
is something like that your kid wants to do when they take over their own life?
He's frozen.
All right, since Keith is frozen.
When they want to do what they want to do and they don't like want.
No, we got the question. I think Keith is frozen, so we'll let him figure that out. So I guess Tony, you go ahead while Keith figures out his life.
Let me see. I mean, they just step up to the plate and do it. Like I'm trying to think. I don't have too much experience with that, but you know, I used to be responsible for waking them up in the morning. Then at some particular point, they said, okay, we're going to get up in the morning because we want to do we want to do this, or one of them said this, and so they took ownership of that task. So that's what they do. They show that they're responsible. They show ownership over something, or they also ask. So let's say I'm making their lunch for school. They'll ask, "Can I make my lunch every day for school?" And I say, "Yes, as long as you make sure you make it every day, because I'm not. There's no excuses. I'm not going to jump in if you take it over. You're just going to be hungry." So so it's they ask to take over that part of their life. Now they can't take over all of their life until they're out of the house. But yeah, that's that.
I guess I'll answer. We lost Keith, but it's interesting. I kind of feel like you guys have always, for as much as you can, took over your own lives. As much as you can, whatever, and much like similar like what Tonii said. You know, at some level, um, you know, whenever you learn a thing, Lexi, you were playing games at like months old, where I realized you were kind of in your own world doing whatever you wanted to do, and it was pretty dope when I realized it. Lynn, you were very observant, and then all of a sudden you would just do. You would actually pull yourself out of the bouncer. You would climb up over the gates, and she was like months old. So pretty much, it was a matter of just creating, you know, safety nets so that you guys can do what you want to do and not get hurt. You understand? So it's like creating a padded room. So my job is to create a padded room so that you guys can bounce off the walls until you're strong enough to be in a room with less padding, if that makes sense. So it's more like watching you guys grow and giving you more room to do what you're already doing in a way. But other than that, you guys are pretty good at articulating, or I'll set a goal. Like the phone, for example. You have a phone now, Lexi, because I gave you first the apps on a tablet to kind of test out how mature you were and what skills you had and what level of responsibility you had. So they gave you a phone, which you broke the next day, but
The next day? It was
like 2 days.
Like 3 days ago.
No, like
That's
2 days later
familiar.
you broke it. But you called me and you told me that you broke it, and you were very apologetic, which displayed your ability to be responsible for something. So it's pretty much, you know, I'll give you a little bit, watch how you deal with that little bit, and then give you room for a little bit more after you master a little bit. So that's kind of it. All right. So Keith did not make it back, but this is our time. Thank you, Tonii, for
Okay.
joining us.
You're
Keith, in
welcome.
your absence, thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Lexi and
you.
Lynn. Those were really brilliant questions.
Yes, thank you.
And you guys can hold tight. I'm gonna do a quick little wrap up.
You gonna rap for the wrap up?
No, that's not what I said. So thank you all for joining episode 2 of #DadLifeDadChat, where we got to speak with Keith Lilley and Tonii Two Eyes. It was really dope conversation. Lexi and Lynn, precocious and precious as always. Absolutely brilliant with their questions. I have a question for you guys, all who are watching. Feel free to comment or anything with a closer. I don't have a closer for this show. For my open mics, I say when it all goes down, we'll be at the bomb shelter. For my personal events, I say in our fight for our Black lives, let's not forget to enjoy our Black lives, our art, our culture, our people. But I want something to end this show with. So if you have thoughts and ideas for my inline for this show, comment, tag me, and let me know. But thank you all for joining. I see so many liked, commented, and shared. Keep it going. I've been your host, Luther D. Isler. Peace.